We've really reached an inflection point in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. The feeling in the air, it isn't just routine speculation anymore.
No.
It's this anticipation of a genuine, almost necessary transformation. This potential trade, the one that's just dominating the rumor mill right now, it isn't about minor adjustments.
It's a seismic shift. That's a great way to put it. It could define the franchise's whole trajectory for the next few years.
So for this deep dive, we're looking at that specific rumor. A potential swap, Matthias McSally for Michael Bunting, between the Leafs and the Nashville Predators.
And our mission here is really to analyze if the Leafs organization, under new management, has the clarity and the vision to make a change based on need, not on hope.
Right. Today is about getting past the generic sports talk and really confronting the brutal, undeniable truth about player fit.
Exactly. This move is about exchanging identities, really. Swapping out one type of player for a completely different one.
We need to look at what ingredient is so desperately missing in Toronto, especially with the playoffs on the horizon, and why one young player's, failure to launch might actually be the golden ticket for both teams.
It's a fascinating scenario.
Okay, so let's unpack it. The Matthias McSally experiment in Toronto has, frankly, gone sideways.
I think that's putting it mildly.
The evidence is just all there.
True.
It's a story of unfulfilled promise, not consistent production. And look, it's not a total condemnation of his skill.
No, the talent is there. We've seen it. It's a crystal clear case of a poor fit. A systemic poor fit.
And the stats, they just paint a grim picture. You look at the erosion of confidence, and the most damning part comes from the coaching staff.
7 straight games is a healthy scratch. You just don't do that. You don't sit a player with those expectations unless trust has fundamentally broken down.
And when he is playing, his contribution is, it's almost invisible. We're tracking, 5 goals and 5 assists in 22 games.
Yeah, and for a guy who is supposed to provide some offensive depth, it's not enough. He looks tentative, almost lost out there. Adrift in a sea of expectations.
So what explains it? What's the real reason for this statistical failure?
It's the system mismatch. We talk about the identity that the current Leafs regime True Living and Keefe is trying to build.
It's all about grit, physicality.
Exactly, winning corner battles, a suffocating forecheck. They want a heavy team that's built for the playoffs.
And McSally is just not designed for that kind of warfare.
Precisely. He's a finesse player, a playmaker. He needs time and space to use his vision to slow the game down. But in True Living's system, the forwards have to be aggressive, they have to track back, they have to deliver that F1 pressure.
And he's just reluctant to do that consistently.
Yes. That reluctance to engage in those high-impact battles below the hash marks, it made him a liability. A passenger who had to be covered, rather than a driver pushing the play.
So his hockey DNA, it just doesn't align with what this team needs to finally succeed in the playoffs. But this failure might actually unlock a crucial piece for them.
It does, but only if McSally finds a new home where his skills can actually flourish.
Which brings us naturally to Nashville.
To the Predators, yeah.
Yeah.
If we look at the broader league landscape, you have to assess where Nashville is right now. And for years, they've been kind of stuck in neutral.
Right. Not bad enough to tank, not good enough to really contend.
They're in that hockey purgatory. They are strategically stalled. And when you're in that position, you have to pivot.
And that pivot is towards younger, cost-controlled upside. You start a gentle retooling.
And that's exactly where Matthias McSally checks every single box for them. He's still a restricted free agent. He's in his mid-20s.
So that RFA status gives Nashville a ton of team control, cost certainty.
Immense control. They could project his cap hit for the next 4 or 5 years. And let's not forget, he's not that far removed from 2 pretty impressive offensive seasons. The skill is still there.
So for Nashville, this isn't some panic move. It's a calculated gamble on that potential.
A very calculated gamble. They're betting his struggles in Toronto were purely situational. A product of the environment, the pressure, and not a true reflection of his offensive ceiling.
And he offers a dimension their lineup just doesn't have right now, that high-end creativity.
Absolutely. In Nashville, he gets a lower pressure environment. He can rediscover his confidence. He can use his vision, his skating, create transition offense, all the things that were sort of muted in Toronto because he was worried about the defensive side.
So if he gets that freedom, he becomes an incredibly valuable, cost-controlled asset for them, a real building block.
It's the definition definition of a change of scenery deal. It's a high upside lottery ticket for Nashville.
Okay, so let's flip the coin. Let's talk about the player whose name just keeps resurfacing in all of this.
Michael Bunting.
Michael Bunting. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's not about getting new talent, it's about reacquiring a necessary personality.
That's the key word. He's a known commodity. He's a familiar face who actually thrived in that chaotic, high-stakes Toronto market.
And his value is amplified because of what the Leafs are missing right now. I mean, his point total since he left have been fine, okay?
That's spectacular, yeah. But his performance isn't measured in points for a team like Toronto. It's measured in intangibles, in attitude.
Absolutely. He slots right into the middle six, but he's the ultimate catalyst. He embraces contact. He's that spark plug who goes into the greasy areas in front of the net, draws penalties.
Gets under the opponent's skin.
He just embodies playoff hockey. Grit, determination, a willingness to do whatever it takes. He never floated. He never disappeared when things got tough.
And that is something you can actually quantify for Toronto. Look at their high-danger scoring chances. They struggle with a sustained net front presence. Bunting never shied away from that. He willingly parks himself in the goalie's kitchen.
That's the emotional bite they've been searching for. Plus, he's still really useful on the power play, screening the goalie, taking the punishment. He understands the assignment in Toronto.
Right. It's about heart, grit, and that's something that resonates deeply with a fan base that has been so frustrated by the lack of playoff intensity.
Okay, but as much as we love the emotional side, we have to get to the brass tacks, the financials. How does a deal like this actually get done?
And that is the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? Because a passionate argument for Bunting is one thing, but the contractual reality is another.
Let's get into the nuts and bolts. A straight one-for-one swap, McSally for Bunting, it just doesn't work from a value perspective.
And even close. You've got McSally, who is younger, cheaper, and, crucially, an RFA. That team control is a huge asset.
While Bunting, on the other hand, is 30. He has a much higher cap hit, and he's a pending UFA, a rental, potentially.
So Toronto could acquire him and then lose him for nothing at the end of the season. McSally is long-term security. Bunting is short-term impact. You have to balance that.
So if you're the Leafs GM, you are absolutely asking for more than just a player swap. You have to compensate for losing that long-term asset control.
Correct. The deal structure has to account for that. So the Leafs would ask for Michael Bunting plus a mid to late round draft pick. That's the sweetener.
The sweetener, right. But that's only half the equation because there's the immediate salary cap math.
Exactly. And Toronto is tight against the cap ceiling. So for this to work without them having to move another player out, Nashville would almost certainly need to retain salary.
How much are we talking?
Probably 25%, maybe even as high as 50% of Bunting's salary. That retention is what makes the transaction immediately executable for the Leafs.
So this isn't some flashy blockbuster trade. It's a pragmatic, sensible exchange built on logic. It accounts for age, contract, and the very specific needs of both teams. It's a surgical strike.
It is. Which brings us to the ultimate question. Who actually wins the trade?
Well, in the short term, looking just at this season and the upcoming playoffs, Toronto unequivocally wins. I don't think there's much of an argument there.
That's the logical conclusion, yeah. Bunting stabilizes a line. He adds proven playoff experience, and there is zero learning curve. He injects that fire and net front presence on day one. They're solving a systemic weakness immediately.
Nashville could be positioning themselves to win this trade in the long run, and this is where it gets critical.
It is. Because if McSally finds his game, if he gets his confidence back in that less suffocating environment, let's be honest, he was a square peg in a round hole in Toronto from the very beginning.
He absolutely was.
So if Nashville gives him the freedom to use his skill set, they end up with a younger, high-skill offensive player with significant untapped potential. It's a smart risk for any retooling team to take.
The real genius of this potential deal is that it works because the two teams need fundamentally different things. Their timelines are completely out of sync.
Totally. Toronto needs immediate proven impact to pry open that Stanley Cup window that's been just slightly ajar for too long.
And Nashville needs that long-term, cost-controlled youth to chart a new course.
So McSally has a far greater opportunity to grow in Nashville, while Bunting brings that specific, missing emotional edge that Toronto desperately needs right now.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've analyzed McSally's lack of fit, Nashville's strategic pivot, Bunting's unique value to Toronto, and the complex financial mechanics needed to get it done.
Which leaves us with a really important question. In a league defined by these marginal decisions, with all the weight of expectation on the Maple Leafs. Can the organization afford to let sentimentality or hope for untapped potential cloud their judgment?
Or is it simply time to embrace the cold, hard logic of a trade that prioritizes immediate, quantifiable impact over long-term risk?
I think that's what it boils down to.
And recognizing the importance of timing and finding the absolute right organizational fit, not just in sports, but in any high-stakes environment, that's the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. We'll keep tracking this story as it develops. Thanks for joining us.